The blacksmith conducted the ceremony in a hurry. He had two more couples waiting. In the village of Gretna Green, English laws did not apply, and anyone wishing to marry against the rules would come here. For over 200 years, this borderland had transformed into a true Las Vegas for the United Kingdom. It was the only place where couples could tie the knot quickly and without much hassle. In the mid-18th century, Lord Hardwicke pushed through a new marriage law in the English Parliament. Couples could marry without parental or guardian consent once they turned 21. This was a clever piece of legislation, as most people married earlier. Noble families sought advantageous unions to ensure their wealth and titles didn't drift away. The common folk thought similarly. A wealthy merchant's daughter shouldn't run off with a pauper. But what if she desperately wanted to? When a law is created that many dislike, loopholes are sure to be found. Lord Hardwicke's document applied to England and Wales, but Scotland had its own rules. There, no marriage license was required, and witnesses were not a necessity. Brides and grooms didn't need to ask anyone for permission. The only requirement in Scotland was age. Girls had to be at least 12 and boys 14. So where did the love-struck couples from England head? That's right, north. They discovered a wonderful opportunity to marry while avoiding tedious formalities. They could unite with those whom their hearts chose, rather than strict parents. The first settlement on the border between England and Scotland was the small, unremarkable village of Gretna Green. And it was in these nondescript surroundings that a true wedding frenzy began. Traditionally, not only priests but also the local community leader could wed couples. As luck would have it, that role fell to the blacksmith. After tearing himself away from the anvil and tidying up a bit, he would head to the chapel to perform the ceremony. When the newcomers first asked him to do this, he was surprised. But when throngs of future newlyweds flooded into the small village, he turned it into a regular affair. The ceremony required a small fee. The blacksmith was no longer making knives or horseshoes. That was a thing of the past. The Gretna Green began to thrive, and local fabric and wedding dress shops sometimes made triple their usual monthly earnings. The Scots counted their profits and laughed heartily at the poor English, who had to travel many miles just to reach the altar. As the number of illicit marriages soared into the thousands, alarm bells rang in London. It was impossible to close the loophole. After all, Scotland had a degree of autonomy. Then a real scandal erupted. An Edward Gibbon Wakefield had kidnapped the daughter of a wealthy family, Ellen Turner, in Liverpool. The runaways married in Scotland and then hid in Calais. The girl's parents protested and managed to have the marriage annulled through the courts. The groom ended up in prison, and Miss Turner was married off according to her father's wishes. Everyone realized that things were taking a turn for the worse. So, a century later, Scotland amended its marriage laws. Couples could only marry in the Northern Territory if they had spent at least 3 weeks there. The flow of eager couples didn't stop, but it noticeably dwindled. For 200 years, Gretna Green was the site of blacksmith ceremonies. However, everything changed in the 30s of the 20th century. Since then, only parish priests have had the right to officiate weddings. But the village didn't lose its charm. First, after 2 centuries of publicity, now 1 in every 6 couples in Scotland still chooses to tie the knot there. Second, for those interested, they offer a renewal ceremony to reinforce their vows. Those already married can recite their promises in the old blacksmith shop, almost like something out of American Las Vegas.